You're listening to Brandon Sports Talk, interviewing professional athletes and Paralympians and Olympians. And now for your professional athlete interview and your host, Brandon P. Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Canada Paralympian sitting volleyball player, Payden Vair. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in competing in para sports, and particularly sitting volleyball?
Yeah, so it was definitely a dream of mine since I was little to be an Olympic athlete. After unseen accidents and what happened to me, and I'll kind of get more into that later on, I was reached out by a couple girls on the sitting volleyball team, and they kind of told me how after their accident, they were able to get into the para sport of sitting volleyball, and it just intrigued me right out of the hospital. So I reached out to the coach, and she was very open to have me come to their practice. And after attending that practice in Edmonton in Alberta, I decided that I liked it, and the coach actually offered me a spot on the roster.
Of course, what was the transition like going to para sports?
It was a lot different than what I expected. I had played sports growing up my whole life, so I'm a very competitive athlete. I thought it was going to be something that came easy to me because I had played volleyball before, but that was not the outcome. It has definitely taken a lot of practice and just determination to be able to keep my spot on the roster for Team Canada. But it has been very beneficial. I have had so many experiences that I probably wouldn't have had just playing at the college level.
How was it like making the sitting volleyball team for Team Canada, and what was the preparation behind preparing for it?
Yeah, so I joined sitting volleyball in 2019, so a couple months after my accident. And the biggest part for me was I still had a few injuries that were healing at the time. I still had some stitches and just getting used to the way my body functioned now. So that was one of my biggest problems that I had to adapt with. And then when they told me that I was going to be on the team, I was so excited about that. My first competition was in Lima, Peru in 2019, and we placed third in that competition. So that was exciting. It was my first medal as a Canadian athlete, so that was really exciting. But we still had to qualify for Tokyo in 2020, which we hadn't done yet. And at that point, we had our Halifax competition the following year, so March 2020. And we placed first at that competition, which gave us the last qualification spot for Tokyo in 2020, which ended up being 2021 because of COVID.
Of course, how was it like balancing being a college soccer player and also a Paralympian sitting volleyball player?
Yeah, so I wasn't doing both of them at the same time. I was a college soccer player in 2017, and then my accident happened in 2018, and I was getting ready for my second year at the college playing soccer when my accident happened. So after that, I stayed close with my team. I went to a lot of their events. I was at their ACAC competition where they won second. So that was exciting. And the college has really supported me being on Team Canada. They show me support through social media and just personally reaching out. So the Lethbridge College Kodiaks will always have a special spot in my heart, and they are family to me, and I'm so thankful for their support and just helping me adjust to this new sport that I play.
How was that transition like from going from soccer to sitting volleyball?
Yeah, so that transition was really difficult for me. Soccer has always been my passion, and soccer is played with your feet while volleyball is played with your hands. So I had to kind of learn some new skills for sure. It is still taking me time to adjust. But with practice and over the years, I have definitely improved quite a bit. I still have a long ways to go. So just making sure I get training in every day, hitting the gym so I can stay in shape, and then just getting with my teammates as much as I can to get some competition aspects.
What was that feeling like when you made the Pan American team?
Yeah, I was really excited about that. That was the first time I was announced as a Canadian athlete. So it was kind of like one of my dreams as a childhood had finally come true. I was a Canadian athlete, and that was something I always wanted to be since I was little. So I was definitely excited about that and couldn't wait to hit the competition floor.
What was that feeling like making your first international debut for Team Canada?
Yeah, it was again just I couldn't believe it was happening. It definitely seemed like a dream at the time, and as soon as I got to that event, my dream was turning into reality. So I was so honored to be able to represent the leaf on my chest, and I'm so thankful that I can continue doing that at every sporting event that I go to.
How was it like obviously making the world para volleyball and winning it to go to the qualifying to compete in the Paralympics?
Yeah, so our Halifax competition that qualified us for Tokyo was very nerve wracking. This was going to be the last opportunity that my team had to qualify. So there was a lot of pressure. It was definitely a mental game. We had to stay very engaged. There was a lot of prep work that took to get our team to this spot. So as the games went on, we saw our opportunity rising higher and higher and the possible outcome of us qualifying. So when we were in that gold medal game, I think our team really gave it all, and it showed that when we won gold at the Halifax last chance qualifier.
Of course, competing in the Para Worlds Championship, what was that like? And what was that like winning it to go into qualifying for the Paralympics?
Yeah, so we actually did not win the World Cup that we were just at. So I was just in Bosnia competing for the World Cup. We ended up placing second, unfortunately. So we had lost to Brazil. So that was unfortunately a little bit of an upset for us. I mean, we were thankful that we got second at the tournament. We had worked very hard for that position. But when you're that close to winning gold, it definitely is something that takes time, and now our team just knows what we need to train for. So I think at our next training camp, we have a lot that we can work on as a team together, and I'm just excited for what we're going to be able to do in the future.
What was that feeling like for you when you made that Paralympic team and your name got announced to join the Paralympic team to go to Tokyo?
So that was also very exciting to hear Payden Vair get announced. It's just kind of one of those movie experiences. So again, I was just very excited that I could be representing the Canadian Leaf.
What was that feeling like when you got your gear in the mail where the Argonaut symbol was and the Canada Maple Leaf flag was on your gear?
Yeah, so again, it's always so cool to represent our national flag. It's awesome because when we're at our competitions, like you said, we are always wearing the flag on our chest. We are always representing Canada. So it's definitely a lot of pressure because we are representing the country. We're not just representing ourselves. So we always have to make sure that we are being positive, we're being kind, and we are also being the best athletes that we can. So I love being able to wear the Canadian flag, and I just hope I can wear it for many more years to come.
Of course, during your time at the Paralympics, what were some of your favorite memories and moments competing in the Paralympics at the biggest stage?
Yeah, the Paralympics, my first experience when we walked on to this court that we'd be playing on was just how big the venue was. That was so exciting. It was probably one of the biggest venues that I have ever competed in. Unfortunately, at Tokyo, we couldn't have any fans, so it was a pretty empty stadium. But our team really found ways to bring the energy, even though there's nobody cheering on for us. We knew everyone was watching back home on the live feed. So it was still seemed like everyone was there cheering for us, but our team was able to bring the energy and not focus too much on that. So that was awesome.
Of course, being your first Paralympics, what was that feeling like? Obviously, getting used to it and not having your friends and family there and only having your teammates there.
Yeah, definitely. There was definitely some homesick feelings. We were there for a month in Tokyo. So we had to do 2 weeks of training before we got into the athletes village, and that took quite of adjustments. A lot of us started to get homesick, but we all really came together. We have the same goal in common, and that's just competing and trying to win gold at every event. So our team is really good for coming together. We're a bunch of females that get along, so I'm so thankful to have them, and they just seem like family.
What was it like getting to compete against some of those teams like the US and Mexico?
Yeah, so I have never played against Mexico before, but the US, I highly respect the USA team. They're one of the best teams in the world. They have amazing coaches. The athletes are very disciplined. So I have the highest respect to the USA women's sitting volleyball team. They are a very strong competitor, and I am so thankful that we get a battle with one of the best teams in the world.
How's that rivalry game like competing against US and Canada in sitting volleyball?
Sorry?
How's that rivalry game competing against US and Canada in sitting volleyball?
Yeah, so they are one of our strongest competitors. We have played them a lot, so we know a lot of the USA's tactics, just like they know a lot of our own. So it is always an interesting and a very competitive game when we play the USA. So you never know what we're gonna pull out in those games.
Of course, how was that feeling like when you were announced to become a Paralympian and you were able to add PLY behind your last name?
That was very exciting. I'm so thankful that I can be a Paralympic athlete and that I can be not just a Paralympic athlete, but a first time Paralympian. So that is such an amazing opportunity. And I loved when they announced that we could put that symbol beside our name, just like the Olympic athletes.
What does it mean to you to represent Team Canada in sitting volleyball?
To me, it definitely comes down to knowing that a lot of people are watching and that I just need to be the best person I can be. I need to have a lot of integrity, and just it takes a lot of motivation and discipline to be a Canadian athlete. I just hope that I can continue to work on myself and improve on myself every day to make this country proud.
How's it like obviously getting to meet your fans and having them ask for your autographs and photos?
Yeah, it seems unreal. I'm always shocked when somebody wants my autograph. Sometimes I'm not fully sure why, but I'm thankful that somebody finds me as a role model, and I hope I can always be a positive role model to those people.
Of course, after the Paralympics, what was that first moment like getting to sign PLY behind your last name during your autograph signings?
Again, we didn't have any people at our game, so there wasn't any autograph signing at that event. But I'm sure if there would have been, that would have been such a crazy experience. I probably would have been overwhelmed just a little bit, but I would have been very honored that somebody would have wanted my signature.
What were some of your favorite memories while competing with your teammates in the Paralympics?
I think some of my favorite memories was just getting a win over Japan and we had a couple other really tough games. It was really exciting for us just to be in all of those tough matches with Brazil and with the USA and China, and just being able to battle with some of the best teams in the world are some of the memories I don't think I'll ever forget.
Who were some of the people that you looked up to at the Paralympics that you were like, oh my God, I'm standing next to them at the Paralympics?
I think the people that I was most honored to be standing beside at the Paralympics were my own teammates. A few of them had already been Paralympian, so it was just awesome to be standing beside them being second time Paralympians and me being my first time. It was just so amazing that I could stand by those amazing women.
What were some of your game day routines and rituals like?
Yeah, so some of our game day routines, our team is very big into getting together. We blast some music on the speakers. We just get a little hyped up before our games. And then we will have our mental training coach come in and she will have us all sit together. We close our eyes and we go over our mental performance and we picture ourselves out on the court and just focus on what we need to imagine before our game just so we can get our head space in the right mindset. So that is some of our game day rituals.
How's it like, obviously, competing with some of your veterans players like Danielle, Jennifer, and Caitlin?
Yeah, so it is so amazing to play with those girls. There's so much that I have learned from them and that I'm still learning. They have really grown the sitting volleyball program so much, and I hope someday I can be half the athlete that they are.
Who are some of the people that you look up to in the sport of sitting volleyball?
I think that would be almost everyone on my team. I mean, it'd be hard to list, but like you said, Daniel Ellis, Jennifer Oakes, Heidi Peters, Caitlin Wright, they're all just such amazing athletes. So I really look up to them and the positive outlook that they bring to sitting volleyball.
Of course, looking back on your experience at the Paralympics in Tokyo, what are some of your fondest memories and what things do you plan to build on to make it your second Paralympics?
So one of the things that I really focus on a lot from Tokyo was we had a match against Brazil that was 3 hours long. It went to 5 sets, and we ended up not winning that match. So I think our team has a lot to learn from that match. And it kind of came back to us in Bosnia for World Cup. We were competing with Brazil again, and sadly ended up losing in that fifth set. So I think we do have a lot to learn from that and a lot that we're going to be changing in practice. So when we come up to that situation again, we can get a more positive outcome.
What was that feeling like knowing that you lived out your Paralympic dream?
I think it was just very surreal. It still is weird looking back on it, knowing that I am a Paralympian. I definitely, even though it was my dream as a childhood, it was one of those dreams that a lot of people would tell you would never be reality. So it's just nice to prove a few people wrong sometimes.
How was that feeling like getting to put on that Paralympic ring and having the Argonaut symbol along with the Canada Maple Leaf flag on it?
Yeah, I was so excited when I got that ring in the mail. I had been waiting for a little while. A couple of my teammates that live in the city had got theirs before mine, so I knew it was coming. So I was checking the mail every day. And then when I got home, my husband actually had it opened up on our kitchen table. So I was so excited when I finally saw that ring and I got to put it on my finger. And it's so nice to have that representation and that memory of competing in Tokyo.
Of course, how has that been like obviously wearing that ring and knowing that all of your hard work as a Paralympian has paid off?
Yeah, it's definitely a relief, but I know looking at that ring that I still have way more to give to the sport. And I'm hoping that by the time I get my second ring that I can still have that feeling of knowing I gave it a little bit more this time, but knowing that I can always grow and improve.
What are some of your future plans in the sport of sitting volleyball?
Yeah, so our future plans, we are going to have our zonal tournament in Edmonton, Alberta. This is going to be another qualifier for us for Paris in 2024 for the Paralympics. So at this tournament, we have to win first place to be able to get that qualification. So that is our next debut as a team. And I think with a little bit more practice, we have a very good chance at qualifying, hopefully, for Paris.
What advice would you give those athletes that are in college that are looking to compete in adaptive sports like sitting volleyball?
Yeah, I think just knowing that it is still a really good route for athletes to go towards. Most people always dream of the Olympics, but sometimes life happens, and Paralympics is just as amazing. We are a very competitive group of athletes that are determined and love our sport. And I just want other athletes to know that there is always another option, and that para sports have really changed my life, and that it could really change their life as well.
What advice would you give those future people that are looking to go to the Paralympics, whether to represent Canada, US, or even Team Mexico?
Mm-hmm. I think the most important thing is to never give up on your dreams, keep training, keep pushing yourself, and never give up.
What advice would you give those people looking to represent their national team, whether it's Team USA or Team Canada?
Yeah, I think very similar. Just keep pushing, talk to your coaches, find out what they think that you need to improve on to be able to make the national team. And you just have to put more work in than the person that you're competing with. You have to have a reason, and you have to really give it your all.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
My Instagram is Payden Vair. And yeah, that's where they can find me at. That's where I post all of my activities in my life.
Thank you again, Payden Vair, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with
Thank
sitting volleyball.
you. Thank you, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Payden Vair, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thanks.
It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.